We are super excited for our community spotlight, Idaho Concerts and Care. Karen Mang Kennedy is the director and will be presenting this morning. I'll give you a little bio on her. So Karen Mang Kennedy, the director, immigrated from Vancouver, BC in 2019. She received a Bachelor of Music at the University of Victoria in clarinet performance, where in addition to her clarinet studies, toured extensively with UVic chamber singers and sang with the Pacific Opera Victoria and began singing in the Anglican Church. She sang with Capriccio Vocal Ensemble in Victoria and then later in Vancouver, professionally with the Vancouver Chamber Choir and Musica Intima Vocal Ensemble and the Phoenix Chamber Choir. From 1993 to 2006, she served in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Woohoo, Karen, love that. I was a mounted officer with San Diego. Cool. And serving in North Vancouver with the RCMP HQ and Surrey, BC. Later, she worked with children's choirs in Vancouver as the assistant director. In Boise, Karen is singing with the St. Michael's Episcopal Choir and is an alto section lead and critical mass vocal artist. And I now will turn this over to Karen.
Thank you so much, Karen, and thank you, Dara, and thank you, Joellen, for suggesting that we connect. This has been great. It's a new experience for me, so I hope it's a good one. So I wanted to share that when I first moved here in 2019, I wasn't sure about what I was going to do. I got married and it was exactly the thing I wanted to do. And there were challenges that went along the way, leaving a community in Vancouver and just sort of starting a new life. So I asked myself, well, how can I be of service to the community here? And since I sang for the British Columbia Health Arts Society in Vancouver with my trio, which provides professional concerts to residents in care homes in BC, I thought, well, maybe this isn't happening here and maybe I could give this a try. So that decision sort of sparked my interest in doing a bit of research and finding out, who was playing in the community centers and the care homes. And I found that there wasn't really anyone doing this kind of work. So I'm going to roll along my slides. Here is a picture of Jason and Michelle Duttweiler with Chad Spears at one of the care homes. I love that they took this selfie because we don't often get these pictures, so I wanted to include it. This is at a Valley View, and there's always a really good audience at Valley View. So Jason and Michelle are opera singers, and Chad is a very prolific pianist and accompanist in the Treasure Valley. So they often do concerts for us. So as Karen mentioned, I immigrated in 2019. And the model in British Columbia started in 2006, believe it or not. And since then, it's been, 17 years or so, 18, 19 years? I don't know. It's expanded to every province in Canada. So there are health art societies or concerts and care organizations throughout Canada. And that was my inspiration for bringing it here. When we first got started, we didn't have status as a nonprofit. So just to get the ball rolling, I started a donor box campaign and we raised enough funds to put on 8 concerts through March of 2022. I thought that perhaps the paperwork for doing a nonprofit application was going to be a bit formidable, and indeed it was. So I hired a law firm to help me out with that. And I'm really glad that I did because it took probably June, July, August, September, 4 months to get that process actually in the mail. So I was really happy and really satisfied with our law firm that did the work for me. And then we received status in February of 2022, which happened a lot faster than I thought because, of course, COVID was going on. So it was like we were off and running. And so is this thing on the screen? Can you see this thing? the iPhone thing? Anyone?
No, we just see your
The
presentation.
slide? Okay, that's good. I'm sorry to interrupt there. So we applied for a arts and history grant on kind of on a whim. And since I had the matching funds from a private donor, we received the grant in 2022, and we were able to put on 15 concerts in that cycle for that grant. So we applied again for arts and history grant and received another one for the 2023-24 season. And this has given us the opportunity to put on 7 concerts through the end of January. We do have another concert tomorrow, and we have another one later this month. So let me know, anybody, if you have questions about that, but you're more than welcome to attend. The online calendar is up and running on the website. And then if not, if you can't find it or whatever, just let me know through my email, and you're most welcome to attend. So in the Treasure Valley, there's approximately 53 care homes. Now I know that that number has grown, excuse me, since 2021, when I basically went to Albertsons and found that seniors resource book that's in the card file at the entrance to the store. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, I was going to do a bunch of research on all the care homes, and voila, it was all there for me. So what a great resource that is. So yeah, there's about 3,500 residents in care. And again, that number is definitely growing. And it's growing especially in the communities in surrounding Boise. And see, I can't see this. Oh yeah. So there is great potential to connect with many of these residents through music. Here's another shot of Jason and Michelle speaking with some residents. And the top one is them playing with Jeff Hill at one of the care homes for Christmas last year. And then the bottom slide is my friend Tim playing bass, and John on the sax, and Pete Magadini, who is playing drums, who unfortunately just passed away, but he's a very famous drummer. Wrote many books on polyrhythm. I'm so happy to have him play. That was a really beautiful concert. That one, I think, was taken at Morningstar. So it's not only that people play and sing and communicate that way after the concerts, they always, and I encourage them to go out and connect with the residents and hear their stories. And man, you find out a lot about people after a show. A lot of them are musicians themselves, some of them are teachers, but it's just really wonderful to see people light up when they're able to share their stories with our musicians. So that's a little bit of history about where we are now. We have funding right now to present concerts in Boise through the Arts and History Grant. And I'm very excited to say that when I first started making these slides, we were just about at our $7,000 goal for a matching grant from the Harry Morrison Family Foundation. But we matched it. By the end of December, I had a very surprise grant in the mail that I did not apply for, which actually brought us up to $7,000. So we now have $14,000 to present concerts in the communities surrounding Boise. That was the goal for this grant. So the concert last Sunday at Foxtail in Eagle was presented through this grant. The one tomorrow is, and the one next week or further on down in February is all because of the funding from the Harry Morrison Family Foundation. So I was pretty stoked about that. So the number of concerts that we've done to date, not including, maybe including the ones in 2022 before we got status, is 32. And so our goal for this year and this year's budget is to present 24 concerts in 2024 with both of those grants. So we are funded by the public and through grants. And so our goal for this year is to have more than one concert per month in several care homes, at the same time happening. Right now, we basically have, well, our goal is to have 2 concerts per month in two different care homes. And I'd like to hire more musicians in different genres of music. I'd really like to have anybody knows of a good bluegrass band. That would be terrific. I think that would be a really nice addition. So yeah, our goal this year is to find other funding resources, as you know, most people are looking for more funding, but there are a ton of grants out there. We just need to spend the time to go through them and find which ones are the right ones for us. In April, we're going to be hosting a private, well, it's sort of a private concert, but it's a friend raiser. That's what we're calling it. And it's a house concert in a home in Eagle, friend of a friend. So that's an opportunity for us to share what we're doing with people, and hopefully they'll, share for us. And that I think is limited to 20 people. But we have a fundraiser in the fall. Our first fall fundraiser last year was called Fall Fete under a harvest moon, because it was the night of the harvest moon. And it was just a beautiful evening. We had a jazz trio playing. And so what we're going to do is the same in September, a little bit earlier, so we have a little bit more light. So we can expect to send out notifications about our fall fundraiser in September. So in 2023, we passed the 3-year tax return minimum for a number of grants in Idaho. So that's why this year is particularly exciting, because we are now eligible for a bunch of grants that we weren't in the past. So all of our musicians are professionals in the performing arts field in Treasure Valley. So they play in the Boise Phil, the Boise Baroque Orchestra, Opera Idaho, and the jazz and blues community, and a lot have private studios and teach at BSU. It was very important for me to, and for our organization, to pay the artists well, which assists them in their pursuit of their musical excellence and to continue to pursue their artistic work and their development. So this is sort of part of their package, that puts together their income. And I'm very familiar with that, since I spent 20 years as a freelance musician in Vancouver. Most of us had jobs that were, you put your salaries together through various streams. Here's another shot of some people communicating and enjoying fellowship. Down below, I don't know if any of you know the Tree City Chamber Players, but that is in essence is the Tree City Chamber Players with a guest hornist from Eugene, Washington. They presented a concert at the Terraces and at Heatherwood. That was a kind of a special program. So as you probably know, it's kind of difficult sometimes to put into words what music does for people, but here's a good quote. Words can't describe the nuances of life, but music can. Music influences us in so many ways in a harmonious fashion. Sounds generate emotions, and when we're all put in a room together playing instruments, we are in harmony, and that brings all of us together. Bramwell Tovey was the conductor of the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra for many, many years. So another cool thing, and I don't know if any of you know Dr. Barb Minton, she's a psychologist and does neurofeedback. I went to a workshop in September at the university where she presented information on music and the brain and how it heals the brain. So there are a few things that I took away, which this really surprised me, but music actually lights up 11 parts of the brain when people are listening to music, including cognitive function, positive and negative emotion centers. Different music can be used to assist the brain and use the brainwave types we are looking for, whether that be delta, theta, alpha, or beta. For instance, if you're a ruminator or you have anxiety, there's music that you can play that is repetitive that will help the brain. In the brain, there may be high activity areas, but the brain, but parts of the brain aren't talking to each other, and music tends to help the brain talk to each part talks to each other, and it's important for there to be connectivity and energy. So there may be activities, but they're not connecting, and music can help the brain connect to different parts. This I found very interesting. For stroke victims, for instance, playing music that is unfamiliar to them will help them grow neurons in different parts of the brain. Now, I'm not a scientist, so I'm sort of speaking from a layman's perspective. So if any of you out there have any other information, you can feel free to share. So there was a study done in 2011 for mood regulation, which found that music creates a positive mood, revival of the spirit, and also relaxation, and helped with distraction from negative thoughts. It increased recognition of music's power with age and diversity in genres, which I found really, really interesting. On Sunday, I just love this because after this workshop, I mean, I always knew that if people were tapping their toes or clapping or moving their heads, that something must be going on in there. And as it turns out, there is. It's really sparking the brain and causing it to light up. And I'll show you a video in just a second about that. But this woman at the concert was conducting in the back of the room and moving her hands like this. And it was just so beautiful. She was just doing all these beautiful hand gestures. And I thought, her brain is working and this music is really doing good things for her. So that was really nice. In this video, I'm going to show you, this was a video from the workshop that shows what is going on in the brain when someone's listening to music. So there was one person in the workshop who put on what I think is called a neuro cap. And so it's got sensors in all the parts of the brain. So she tucks this cap on like she's going to have, in old-fashioned ways, highlights, used to pull the hair out.
Yeah.
So the cap is
Karen?
on, and then
Karen, I apologize for interrupting you, but we are running long.
oh,
So I'm
I'm
hoping
sorry.
that's okay. I'm hoping rather than watch the video here, if you send me the link, I will make
Yeah.
sure it gets in the information that goes out to our
Oh,
community and
yeah,
is posted.
it's about a minute. But what I really wanted to say was that just to explain what the colors are. So when you see the yellow and the orange, it means that the neurons are firing more than they would in a resting state. So the brain is quite active. And anything blue means that they're firing less than. So the blue means that the brain is being sort of washed with a very relaxation response. So it's very cool if any of you are interested to watch it. So how much time do I have? Am I actually over?
Yeah, you're actually over. So if you could wrap in about a minute, that would be great.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, what I've noticed is that the responses have been that people tend to feel a lot better after attending our concerts. They have more of a sense of well-being. One activities director said that people for our concerts actually stopped and stayed rather than continuing on. I think there's a real recognition of the beauty and the skill that the musicians provide. Here's another great quote from Stevie Wonder: "Music is a world within itself with a language we all understand," which is so true. So I want to thank you so much for having me. And if there's any of you that have any questions or want to get involved, either volunteering or hosting a concert, like kind of a fundraiser concert, that would be lovely. If any of you would like to know about our fundraiser in the fall, just email me. I'd be happy to send you information.